Hello and welcome to the stream. I'm Tandy. Today we're going to be playing some Dimir Frogtide in Modern as we begin our preparations for Modern RCQ season. We played a good bit with Modern Horizons 3 on the channel, and now we are going to get into the nitty gritty. The elephant in the room is that Nadu is not banned. Bold move, Cotton. Let's see if it works out. Because of that, we have to kind of look at this through a different lens because I don't know if it's 100% to be banned. It's actually just like lost popularity because people are so confident it's going to get banned, which is a silly reason to not ban something, in my opinion. But regardless, we're in a situation where if we wait to see if Nadu gets banned, we might end up just losing to Nadu a bunch while waiting for it to get banned. And I don't really want to do that. So I want to either play a deck that's good against Nadu, or I want to play Nadu myself. And I'm hoping that today's deck is actually pretty good against Nadu. I like being able to put a lot of pressure on them. I like being able to interact with them via the stack as opposed to killing their creatures specifically or only. The reason for that is because Nadu specifically says whenever you target it or whenever you target one of their creatures, they get the trigger where they get a free card off the top. And because of that, traditional spot removal is quite bad against them. And so our deck is essentially just fatal pushing to give us that bit of early interaction to hit their delighted halflings, maybe smash their wall of roots or something. And then we kind of use the rest of our cards to interact with them when we can. Things like Delighted Halfling and Cavern of Souls can make counter spells worse, but Subtlety, Force Negation, these are things we can use to pressure their early plays while sticking Psychic Frog and using that to recrew the card advantage that we're burning and losing. This build specifically, we are playing 3 copies of Inquisition, a Kozilek main deck. This is a bit of a standout. I started with a list that had 4 and I trimmed 1. I think that having some amount of discard is okay to good, but I think going overboard on it is dangerous. Players can empty their hands pretty easily in this format. It's a pretty horrible top deck. Even with Psychic Frog, you can discard it, but it's not great to draw it when your opponent is empty-handed or mostly empty-handed. With that said, there are a few better plays on the play turn 1 than a discard spell. We have Spell Pierce and Spell Snare and Inquisition of Kozilek. I don't know that I necessarily agree with playing all 3 of those types of effects. Simply put, your opponent will have decisions that they can make and plays that they can make that make one of those cards bad at any given time. And if they suspect that you have one of those cards, they can specifically play around it. And if they know you have one of those cards, they can definitely play around it. So it's our job to make it so that they can't play around it. And we have to basically do that by applying pressure. And we apply pressure via Psychic Frog and Murktide Regent, and occasionally Orcish Bowmasters. Psychic Frog, one of my favorite additions to Modern in quite some time. I think it's an absurdly powerful card. We're going to have games where it solos. We're going to have games where we pitch our whole hand and deal a bunch of damage. We're also going to have games where we draw one with no cards in hand, and it looks pretty pathetic. I'm hoping that those don't happen too often. Our mana base, pretty straightforward. A bunch of fetches, some dual lands with Darkslick Shores. This one is the one that we choose because we're pretty low on lands altogether. Whenever you're really low on lands in your 2-color deck, the fast lands, we call them Darkslick Shores and such, are quite strong. We're playing 2 copies of Undercity Sewers, the new Surveil land. I think this is fairly commonplace. Most 2-color decks, I think, should be playing 2 of this if you're playing fetch lands. And unless you're, I guess, like super fast, like burn. Maybe you don't want to play Surveil lands and burn. Maybe you do, especially if you want to play Flage after sideboard. So I think most decks should be playing 2 Surveil lands if they're playing fetches, but it obviously depends on the archetype you're playing. I think 1 is going to be standard in most fetch land decks for the foreseeable future. Rest of the deck, basic counterspell. Doesn't get much better than this. We got Force Negation, we got Subtlety, we got 3 total copies between main deck and sideboard to give us a little more interaction that is free against matchups where we desperately need it. This type of card is usually much better in a deck featuring the One Ring, and it is possible that we are making a mistake by not just leaning into Jeskai control. Jeskai control, I think, is quite strong. I love the Phlages. I love the end game. I think that they're able to utilize the One Ring and the pitch elementals a bit better. But I really like Psychic Frog. I have seen a few lists playing Psychic Frog and the One Ring and Shieldred, but I think that those decks aren't really Murktide Regent decks. They just happen to play 2 Murktide Regents at the top end. And I am not the biggest fan of them because you don't have a good way to reset the ring other than another ring. Sideboard, 2 Stern Scolding. This is going to be for a bunch of different creature-based decks. Salty Say Nick, thanks for the 11 months. This is almost a year. I'm excited for the Bloomborough Pioneer Shakeup. I am too. I think it's going to be a good time. Thank you for the 11 months, Nick. Whenever we get the set online, I'll probably reach out to you. I'm sure you got plenty of brews in mind. I got nothing right now. Been too busy with Lorcana the last week. Toxic Deluge, this is going to be excellent for killing creature decks. Things that go wide, things like Nadu that don't put a lot of pressure on you. Elves. 3 now Spellbomb for the graveyard. We want to hit only our opponent's graveyard because we have Murktide and Frog. And also, it draws a card, which is nice. We can sack it for just 1 mana to eat the whole graveyard, even without drawing a card in a pinch. But this is pretty standard for blue-black decks playing Nile Spellbomb as the anti-graveyard. You can play Soul Guide Lantern. You can play a couple different ones, but I like Nile. You can also Nile Spellbomb yourself once you have Murktide Regent already in play. And that can be a way to actually grow the Regent and attack for a bigger hit. Along with the 4 Consigned to Memory to be anti-Tron, anti-fast mana colorless decks, we also have 2 Harbinger of the Seas, which will be very good against them. This is Dimir Frogtide. Let's play the league on. We're going to keep this hand. Undercity Sewer is going to look a little awkward with our 1-drops here. Misty Rain. Okay. So I don't know what they're going to play on turn number 2. I can just play Dark Six Shores and hold up Spell Snare in case it's like Tarmogoyf for something scary. And if nothing happens, we'll just consider. And we can save the Inquisition for a few turns from now if we really need to. We use Undercity Sewer and the Consider to dig for mana. Edge Maze with Misty Rainforest. Could be a number of different decks. Not enough info yet. Another Misty Rainforest. Okay, so I'm actually pretty confused on what our opponent is playing here, but basically just looking for lands so we can do multiple things in one turn. I think I'm going to continue to hold up Spell Snare. This is maybe Nadu, but it's maybe the 4-color one that's going to play Bowmasters. So maybe I actually just play Watery Grave and pretend like I have Counterspell, and then we have Spell Snare or Bowmaster up. If they play Bowmaster, we'll just Bowmaster the Bowmaster. Disordered pieces for this list, but missed Inquisition of Kozilek. Inquisition of Kozilek's pretty sweet, man. I'm not sure that it belongs in this deck necessarily. I mean, we've had 2 turns and we haven't cast it yet, right? Against a deck that's not doing anything. This would be like a perfect spot to cast Inquisition, but because we have Spell Snare, we're in the draw, we want to hold. Froggies? What's up, Taylor? Passaggio is a 3rd land. Okay, I am vexed. I'm just gonna play out my Bowman. If they have any interaction, we have stuff to do. Alright, because we have Fawn, this is what I call Force Negation. We have Fawn. I kind of want to play the Frog, but I think instead I'm gonna Inquisition with Spell Snare backup and Force Negation backup. Because we already have a threat in play, and I want to see what's going on. We might just lose to something ridiculous next turn. Force Negation on my Inquisition. It's fine. We'll play Sewers. Do we want the 4th land? Kind of. Kind of. It's also a fetch land, so it can be an Undercity Sewer, or it can just be an extra mana source for Murktide Regent. This turn we might do Fawn plus Spell Snare, depending on what they do. If it's just Ring, I'm definitely going to Fawn. Shock, Hallowed Fountain. So maybe this is like a Fact or Fiction type of deck. Maybe it's Wilderness Reclamation. They just didn't play Reclamation here. I don't know, chat. I'm hoping the Bowmaster is like bad for them. 4 mana. Subtlety. Well, that one just beats me. Alright, well, we lose our Bowmaster, and but we get to play Frog and Murktide with Force backup, so I think this could go well. I was not expecting Subtlety, but I guess I should have seen it coming. Alright, so we're going to start with Frog. And then I'm going to discard the Spell Snare, and then we're going to play Murktide, assuming this doesn't get hit with a Subtlety. And this is going to grow the Regent, and let me cast it this turn so we can get max pressure in play. And so let me hold up Fawn. So basically we're just trying to max pressure here against them. Another Subtlety, this is fine. Whoa, Taylor, let's hear about it, homie. We'll go bottom since we already have a Murktide. Subtlety, oh, so they're living in. That makes more sense now, I guess. Cycle Riverwinder. They just didn't cycle anything for like multiple turns, so I'm just like very thrown off. Alright, so we'll take 3. And I'm assuming they're gonna go for it here, but we have the Fawn plus the Frog. Now we'll probably lose to another one next turn. Oh wow. Maybe they have a land already? I don't know. Alright, Shardless comes down. Here comes Living Ends. This main phase is consider. We can give the Frog flying now, which is nice, but we'll see if we find anything better to do. Hold up Counterspell, perfect. Might actually win this game, which would be kind of cracked. Alright, Frog draws. We got Spell Pierce as well. So if we survive to next turn, if our Counterspell or Spell Pierce works this turn, I feel like we have a good chance to win. Cycle Waker of Waves. Your 3 on RCQ can double draw in. Round 4 opponent wants to play. I beat him game 1. Complains I was playing sloppy and missed triggers. So no idea. He said, so you meant to not draw 3 extra cards. Okay. So I'm guessing, I don't know. This just already sounds like an annoying opponent. So Spell Pierce on the Living End because they did some tapping out here. They do have Ardent Plea. We're at 14 though, so I'm not really afraid of dying to damage. My guess is they'll attack for 2. Okay, so we'll take it. And now we'll probably just discard whatever it is here that we have. So they're going to block the Frog, and then we'll just pitch the Footed Strand. And now we have Counterspell for their next Cascade effect. And we're still at 11, so we're not under any danger from the Shardless. We got them almost on a 2-turn clock. We can't quite kill them next turn. This is where something like Deep Analysis would really come in handy, and that's why I think some lists do play Deep Analysis, but I found Deep Analysis to be too taxing on the mana and the life total. Creator of Mysteries. This is basically the same boat as last turn. I think I just let this resolve. Maybe? Since we can't kill them, I think we just let this resolve. We discard whatever we draw, and then we just exile 3, and we don't force the block with the Curator, but we do give them a pretty big incentive to block. And now we don't even have to eat the graveyard. Taylor, that sounds really annoying. If I were you, Taylor, I would tell the owner and the head judge about this experience with this player and tell them that you're never going to come back to that store again because of that player, especially if they're a local. All right, discard the land. We're going to just hold out counterspell. Cycle another Awaker, that's fine. Alright, well, we have Counterspell and they only have one card in hand, and we have 3 cards in the graveyard for this, so looks like they're dead. Unless there's some card that does something wild that I don't know about. I guess like a channel bounce effect, like the Colossal Sky Turtle can get me. Nice. Alright, well, we drew another Counterspell. Let's go ahead and eat the graveyard and threaten lethal. We're not going to attack with the Orc. And we have the Counterspell for Brazen Bar, but Sky Turtle would get us. Alright. Alright, so Force Negation's great now that they don't have... let's see, Consigned Memory doesn't stop the... It does stop the trigger on the Cascade. So I think Force Negation, Consigned Memory, Spell Bomb. And I don't mind Harbinger because I think they're just going to be mostly duels. And they can't do anything with just blue, except... I guess they can just play some big blue guys. Maybe it's not that good. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's see what we got to get out. We got to get the Fatal Pushes out. We got to get the Spell Snares out. Spell Snare has very few to no targets. Reordain, consider all good. Counterspell, Bowmaster, mid. Drown the Lock's excellent. Subtlety is weak. Subtlety on their subtlety can sometimes do something, but we'll do this. I don't think it's worth subtlety just for their subtlety. I know, Taylor. It's going to be the new norm, though, I think, which sucks. Just get good, man. Just beat everybody, you know? It's like you have to fight the dojo at the karate competition, right? So just beat them all. Or form your own dojo. Classic Karate Kid move. I'm going to start off with Inquisition while shields are mostly down. They have Endurance and a Shardless Agent. So they're going to be trying to do the Shardless thing, and I already have a consign for it. So I kind of want to take Endurance because them hard casting it's annoying, and I just have the Shardless Agent rolled up with the Spell Pierce and the consign already, so... I left a card on top. It's probably not another Cascader. It might not be a... Okay, I think it was Hedge Maze. Yeah, I said they had a Genercent, Misty. Cycle Street Wraith because they want to draw that card, and then now they'll probably cycle Genercent on the end step. Alright, now we could play another Inquisition. And we're guaranteed to take the Shardless, and we might not be able to hit anything after that. So let's go ahead and do it. And then we still have 2 ways to stop Cascade next turn. Taking the Stupor can be a little annoying, but I think we just take the Shardless. And now they just spend a couple turns digging for it. And alright, so that 4 cards in hand, and we know all 4. It's okay. My weekend actually didn't end up that bad, Taylor. I got screwed on my flight, but overall it was a pretty great weekend. We had a nice pool day yesterday, and had some friends over. Went to go to Korean barbecue for din. Overall, it was good. Don't worry about me. I'm sorry you had a bad experience, though, homie. Yeah, missing a flight doesn't matter to me that much. I'm sad I didn't get to play in the tournament, but I don't think I was even going to be playing the deck I should have been playing anyway. And Lorcana format kind of blows chunks, and I booked this event before Diablo was everything. Okay, so if they just cast a Curator of Mysteries here, this could be not great for me. Okay. I guess the Bowmaster just beats it, so who cares? So I guess we'll just end the turn play Bowmaster. And now if they cycle stuff, they get Bowmans. Let's see. Let's preordain. We got a couple of ways to stop the Cascade trigger. Do we want the counterspell? I don't think I really want counterspell. I kind of want land or more dig effects. And then next turn we can play Murktide with a consign backup. I'm hoping that they go for something this turn. You know? I would love to be able to go like Murktide, Spell Pierce, the Sink into Stupor, and then still have consign up. But I need a land or something else for that here. No, not Diablo 3. It's a card from a different game. Alright, so we know there are two cards, Sink into Super and Temple Garden. Okay, well. We're going to leave one in the graveyard. We're going to make a 5/5 Murktide. And we are going to get it bounced with Sink into Stupor and go to 9 from the Curators. And then we have to draw like some Considerers and stuff to get it back down. I kind of wanted to tap out, but I think, I don't know, the way they've been playing, they might not main phase the Sink into Stupor. Alright, do I Spell Pierce this just to put something into my graveyard? I think the answer is actually yes, because I can just cast it again next turn as a 5/5. If I draw a land, I can hold up Consign as well. Alright, so they're going to hit us for 8 down to 7. And then if they have another answer to the Murktide, we're going to be Dedge. Maybe on that, I guess I should have... One of my Inquisition should have targeted something else. Alright, here's a Murktide. We're going to attack for 2. If they do any cycling, we get to deal them a damage. This might be Veil Summer. No, it can't be Veil Summer. Never mind. They're cascading. What could it be then? Dismember? Oh, rip. Nice. Okay. Maybe I should just keep Subtlety in. They also have Dismember, so Harbinger is much worse. Orcish Bowmaster seems fine. Just lost to a pair of 4-mana 4/4 flyers. Love it. Yeah, me too. Everyone's up in the air though because of the lack of banning. Maybe we don't want 4 consign. Maybe 4 consign's too many. I guess it's just counter your Cascade. That's pretty good for a 1-mana. I'm sorry. Maybe Bowmaster. We need Froggy. We need Froggy early. I will keep. I'm gonna go turn 1 Spellbomb, turn 2 Frog. Probably Boris Energy or Gruul Prowess. I do like the Prowess decks, but I do think that they are much worse than they should be at the moment. Ross has done very well with Prowess over his last few events, but that was like not really taken into consideration in MH3. And MH3 kind of changed everything. You grabbed a blue-black Merc, but you're thinking of pivoting to Goryo's. I do think Goryo's is pretty great as well, Deviation. Oh, nice, Taylor. Alright, let's go fetch an island. Play Frog. This gets hit with a subtlety. I think that's fine. We would have just put it on top and played land, Frog, have Consign, have Spellbomb up. But Frog here against them with basically nothing is pretty good. And if they If they just dismember my frog, I think I discard my whole hand to keep it alive. In fact, I think I might even discard a couple lands here. Maybe not, though, in case they just have a bounce effect. We'll just play a little slow. There's no reason to just shove at the moment. I think we can afford to play the sewers this turn. Spell Pierce on top. I'll put it into the grave. I kind of just want more threats since we already have 2 consign. Spell Pierce gets bad quickly as well. And if they start hard casting your creatures, it's kind of a bummer. In 20 matches, you're 15-5 with Murktide and 10-10 with Gorya's. Well, 15-5 is pretty good. 10-10, not so much. Gorya is also a deck, I think, that's much better the more you play it. There's so many little things that people miss, like, all the time. Okay, so they did the put the trigger on the stack, search with int trick, getting a forest. Drawing the lock's pretty good here. I got to be a little careful with Nile Spellbomb and drawing the lock together, though. Hardcast Endurance. We will, I guess, just counter. We could just let it happen, and then once they block, we just discard 3 cards. But I think just trading 1 for 1 there is better. Because discarding 3 cards means I also don't get to draw with the frog, and so just a little scary. I'm so glad I don't have to worry about Violent Outburst anymore. I do have to worry about Teferi Time Raveler, though, and that one is very scary. Luckily, they don't have white mana yet. Curator Mysteries is fine. And so now I don't even know what I want off the top of my deck, but I do want to grow the Murktide, so I think I will go ahead and get a Sewers. That way if I hit Instant Sorcery, it just goes to the graveyard. Flutter and go to the graveyard too. Okay, so let's go attack with the Frog, and if they block, we'll discard 3. Then we'll play Murktide, hold up Counterspell. I'm lagging. I'm lagging. Uh-oh. Server might have borked. Alright, looks like we're back. Alright, so we'll discard 2 lands for sure. And I think consign. Maybe we just discard Murktide Regent and we just full control mode. Is that bad? I think that's fine, actually. I have this huge Psychic Frog. And I think the only way I can lose now is if they resolve something. And putting a creature into the graveyard against them is also not that bad, in case we don't get to resolve our thing. But Consigned to Memory is a weird one, because if they have Mystical Disputes and Teferis, it's much worse. But it is what it is. Maybe we should have discarded Consign and kept a land to play around Mystical Dispute plus Cascader. Alright, so now we're going to be smashing for 4. Another Frog is okay. Brudane. I don't even think I play anything. Seiju Endures on the Spellbomb. Okay, so I'll go eat your graveyard. We don't get the lands, but that's okay. Now, even if they do Living Enemy, they don't have anything to bring back just yet. We have a full grip. We're short on lands because we've been discarding them, but I think that's fine. Our deck plays on 3, 4, 5 lands quite well. Hardcast Endurance. Don't even really care, I think. I could have used Consign to stop the trigger, I guess. Maybe that was worth, but I think I just am playing as patiently as possible. Bowmaster's a good draw. We can use that to do some punishes, and we can do it on their instep, and there's no fear of Cascade. Alright, we'll just say go. Again, I think playing Preordain is worse than holding up mana right now, which is one of the reasons why I've really liked Consider in the deck. Being able to EOT Consider while holding up Counterspell and stuff is nice. Alright, so we have 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Alright, so let's attack for 6 and see what they do. We have lethal with Counterspell backup. So you're going to super this. I think that's fine. I think there's just literally no reason to fight until I'm going to be in trouble. And they have done nothing so far to make me think I would be in trouble. We'll go and play another frog. You're basically... Think of every game of Magic like a bubble. Right now, our bubble is shrinking. And we're basically just trying to constrict every possible avenue of escape. That's playing control in general. Alright, here's Shardless Agent. I'm going to just consign the trigger while we have the ability to do so. Mystical Dispute the consign. This one is fine. Okay, and now I'm going to do a little trick that I want to show y'all. So now we're going to consign with Replicate. And what consign with Replicate does here is it makes 2 copies, and we can have both of them choose the same card or the same effect. And so even if they have another Mystical Dispute, this doesn't work. I should have done it with the first one, because I had enough mana to do so. That was my mistake. Okay, so now this is a guaranteed 1 between these 2 creatures. I can discard up to 5 and give this flying. So this, we have lethal if we discard our whole hand, and I don't think that they can do anything with the Hedge Maze to stop it. I think that it would be Dismember, and Dismember is not good enough because it's 4... I guess Dismember is good enough. Dismember does slow them down by 1, but maybe they would have main phased the Dismember on the frog. I would also be left with 2 creatures in hand. So, like, here's the thing. If you can figure out your opponent's deck list, right? And in this scenario, I have figured out that I think that the only thing that they can have that matters is a Dismember. And if the Dismember doesn't make sense for them to have because they would have cast it at multiple previous instances, then it's best to just go for it. So we discard 5, this becomes a 6, and then the Orcish Bowmaster is guaranteed to be a 7. I guess I could Preordain first because that doesn't change anything. And if we... It might give us... Okay, maybe another Bowmasters is better. Maybe not, but what we can do is just have another creature into the graveyard. So if they do, they'll be at 1 life no matter what. Alright, now if they Dismember, it doesn't even kill the frog, so I'm just going to do it, and this will put them to 1 if they have the Dismember. Alright, opener looks pretty good. We're in the draw, so but we have Fatal Push or Spell Snare on 2, and Frog on our own 2. Alright, probably the mirror match. We will just like, I guess, play Delta, so we have the option. It's probably going to be frog or nothing, and if it's nothing, then we're unlikely to play a frog of our own, I think. They did keep on top. But we'll use, we'll definitely use, well, we'll use Fatal Push on this for sure. I'm not sure how I feel about Tamio in this deck. I think that there is a version of the deck that wants to play Tamio. Spell Pierce is fine. Joey! Sparrow coming in with a 71 months! Tier 3 out of the mine. Thanks so much, Joey. I appreciate you. All right. We will move to our turn. So we can play Frog here with the shields down. And that'll leave it vulnerable to Fatal Push, but we have a Fatal Push of our own. Or we have a Force Negation now. And I think that it's best to just get it down. And if they do have Fatal Push, there's some chance that I'm not going to fight over it. But there's not a lot to fight over in the matchup. There's just really not a lot to fight over. Because everything is just like a cheap thing. And so keeping the frog alive is probably worth fighting over. I will discard 2 and block, I think. Maybe we shouldn't. We discard what? Land and a blue card, and then we keep Force. The Spell Snare, in case so maybe we go discard land, get flying. We can also stop it from flipping if they have like a Street Wraith. Unless they have like a Street Wraith, excuse me. Alright, we'll discard another card. I'm going to pitch the Spell Snare. Keeping the Preordained for next turn, should things go south. Go for a throat. We'll definitely protect. And now we should be eating. And then we have Fatal Push for the next thing. Maybe I should have kept the land and pitched Fatal Push. They do have Street Wraith. I was not expecting that. If they had found another Street Wraith, they could have flipped there. That would have been really bad for us. Now we have Frog, and they don't have anything. But they also missed their land drop. That's a big deal. We'll hold up Fatal Push for a Frog of theirs. But now we're almost at parity again. On raw resources. I don't think I want to just snap off a Preordain with a counterspell, but part of me really wants to. I think it's because if they start with Preordain, it probably means that they're either light on mana or something else. Alright, Frog of their own. I think we just push this one. We're going to do it now so they can't force a negation. I could have maybe played Counterspell on it and then used Counterspell plus Fatal Push to deal with the next one. Subtlety? Subtlety's good. It'll stop a Murktide region or something. I can go Counterspell Murktide, and then if they have a fighting thing to fight back over, like Spell Snare, we have Subtlety. I don't want to target this Preordain because they already have mana. But last turn, I think, because they missed land drop, I think maybe snagging the Preordain was maybe right. I don't know for sure, and it's like one of those, you can never really know. And this is why Psychic Frog's so good, because we were first to get Psychic Frog down and we use so many resources to protect it. We're putting ourselves in a position where we're able to just literally ride it and it alone to victory. Alright, I still don't think I discard. I think we're fine just dealing 3 and drawing a card. We're going to hold up Counterspell plus Drown plus Subtlety. Another frog. The question is, do I even care anymore? And I think I care enough to exactly play Subtlety. Because they can't stop the Subtlety and kill my frog. And so they basically have to choose one or the other. And if my Subtlety resolves and gets the frog, then and my frog dies, then I probably win with Subtlety counterspells. And if they don't have an answer for either, they're. Someone said GG Frog too good, and I said agreed. Very good. Stern Scolding does stop frogs and Tamios. On the draw, maybe that's good enough. I don't mind the Nile Spell Bomb just for slowing down Murktide. I think Fawn is mid. It was good that game because I was able to specifically keep my creature alive. But because they have Street Wraith, I have to assume that they're playing Death Shadow. And they're going to have discard effects. And the discard effects make Fawn a bit worse as well. Spell Pierce, Spell Snare, Consider Preordain, Counterspell. Bowmasters can maybe go, but I think it's just too strong for dealing with opposing Bowmasters. And it does punish some of their cycling effects. Maybe we just have to Subtlety. I'm not really sure what to board out here. You don't know how to beat Murktide with that line? Oh, I didn't even think about that. That's a good call. That was a bad play. We should have just used one of our 2 mana counters for sure. And this probably should have been Counter Spell. Because Drown the Lock can be a removal spell. See, I'm trying to think if on the draw maybe the discard spells are bad. I don't think so. I think the discard spells are going to be good most of the time. Spell Pierce on the draw seems kind of mid. Wonder if I just Stern Scolding anyway. I think we just Spellbomb though. Subtlety Spellbomb. You can't have too many pitch effects. The subtleties are there for... I don't know. Also, I think the frog's just bigger than the Murktide, right? Maybe I'm wrong. We'll keep this hand. We have a couple things to answer the early creatures. Preordain's fine. We'll lead off with Inquisition, and then see what they got going on. Kind of guide us over our next few turns. Yeah, it was mostly for Frog and the other 1-drop. But I agree, it is too narrow. Inquisition you. They have a Hearse. Hearse is rather annoying. Everything else is beatable. Here's the Void Walker. Alright, we're going to go ahead and Drown and Lock this thing. Because it just costs more mana, and later I can push frog plus play my own frog next turn. They'll be able to push my frog as well, so maybe I wait till I find another Inquisition or something. If they preordain and then frog, I'll go Fatal Push frog, and then on their turn, they might have some trouble using their mana correctly. Here's Thoughtseize. If they take my Fatal Push, I might be in some trouble. We'll probably consider looking for removal. And now the frog chats. It's frog chats. All right, let's go consider. Top card is Nihil Spellbomb. It's not going to do it against the frog. So we're just dead here, which is unfortunate. But this is exactly what we did in them last game, right? Where we stopped their one way to deal with the frog, and then the frog ran away. And this is going to do the exact same thing to us. They led with Voidwalker, which is not quite as good as Frog in the matchup, but it's still very good. And we went for a removal spell on that. We could have let them have Hearse, but then our Murktides would have been bad the whole game. So I'm not really sure if we should take Hearse. Maybe we should just take the Frog, because Frog is too important. Well, now we're way dead. I guess Murktide can maybe save us. Save me, Murktide! Okie dokies. Okay, so now that we know they have Voidwalker, maybe it is turn Scolding because they just have enough. Maybe they're not even Death Shadow. Maybe they just have Street Wraith for flipping Tamiya. I'll go Spell Snare. They have Frogs. Maybe the Subtleties are bad because they're just pitch elementals. We'll just bring in one Spell Pierce to help fight. Yeah, I'll play first. Opener's fine, we'll keep. I think I'll turn one Sewers. We just want to get our tap lines down while there's time. Consider is kind of weak when I already have a preordain, and I'd rather be... I don't know, putting this in the graveyard is basically the same as casting it. I know that sounds weird or whatever, but it just costs mana to play the effect, and if we're able to just dig one deeper for free and put it into the graveyard for Murktide, that's fine. Alright, I am going to go ahead and drown the Tamiya, because Tamiya is very scary for the mirrors. If they have Fawn, they can maybe ride that to victory, similar to the Psychic Frog. Here's a frog. Gross. Alright, well, we're dead to the frog. Unless we draw, like, a Fatal Push next turn. It's so sick that 2 games in a row they just played a frog on 2 and I just couldn't kill it. Or 3, I guess. The last game. I don't know, maybe my sideboarding's bad. This could have been a Subtlety. If this is Subtlety, we have a decent chance to win. I could have played Bowmaster there, but it still doesn't kill the frog because they just can discard a card. And then I don't have Counterspell mana open. I'm also kind of afraid to play the Bowmaster in case they have their own Bowmaster. Nether Goyf. Alright, well. Guess we'll just try to counterspell this thing because it's just more pressure. And we need Fatal Push very badly. Remember Battle Raging the Death Shadow? Battle Rage Death Shadow was like kiddie pool stuff. When the deck became like a Kolaghan's command deck, that's when things really got spicy. Alright, come on, Bobo. Fatal Push. Maybe I should have kept the Consider. Felipe, thanks for the follow. Alright, well, we're probably dead. I am just going to play Darkslick Shores, I guess. I think maybe we should be boarding out Bowmaster. It doesn't seem like it has any great targets other than an opposing Orcish Bowmasters, but I don't even know if they're playing it. Yeah, you're right, V24. My inexperience in the modern format is definitely showing. Just something I need to play more. I've been focusing on Pioneer for the past 4 months for RCQ season. Thoughtseize. Guess I'll just go for Counterspell. My hand's pretty weak, but I don't really want him to know how weak it is. Still have Spell Pierce backup, so we draw Murktide or something, we can play it and have Spell Pierce backup. I think that we're just in the squeeze no matter what we do, 24. And I think that that's the reason to play Tamio, is that we get to have 2 creatures that are essentially draw engines. So I'm going to consider maybe playing Tamio over Bowmasters in future build. I'm just going to concede. Say it's pretty good. I'm going to lead off with Swamp here, since I don't know what I'm playing against, and they show me Gigantha. Could be Boros. I might need to conserve my life total. Just fetch basics. I'm going to look for... Maybe I should not Inquisition on one. Maybe... I think just protecting Frog from, like, Psychic Prison is good, though. Alright, so Thoughtseize is the take, because their hand's all 2s. And no way to deal with the Frog. Turn 2 Amphraptor could be problematic. I don't think that the Johnny's very good against me. GG's Unicorn. Classic Frog matchup. Oh, they did draw 1-drop. That's a bummer. But we do have Frog. And Frog does keep it from attacking. They will gain some energy this turn. But I think getting the Frog down is good. They played a Marsh Flats. This could be Amphraptor looking for a way to kill the Frog. If they find a way to kill the Frog, that's really bad for me. And if it's Galvanic Discharge, I have to discard before they pay the energy, and so they can just keep all the energy. If it's too big. Alright, but here's a Johnny. This is fine. I think I can just attack with the Frog next turn, and if they block with Cat, then I'll Fatal Push the Johnny. I have to discard a card, though. Maybe it's just better to just give it flying. The Counterspell is a fine drop. We can play Delta and we can fetch Island. I'm going to attack without exiling my graveyard yet, I think, in case I draw Merc. And now we can counter the Amphraptor. If they go for Flage, we can just discard a card. Discard Watery Grave. We're going to put damage on the stack. Or trigger on the stack, rather. And then we're going to push the Ajani. And now our plan is to basically just counterspell Amphraptor, but if they go for Flage, we'll just discard Consider. Maybe we'll Consider first and then look for filling the graveyard and then discard whatever we find no matter what and hold up Counterspell. Sword of House Markov. So, this one could get out of hand. So I think I'm going to go ahead and just counter it. They can gain some serious life over the next few turns and transform it pretty cheaply. No shot. Their 2 draws were Soar and Static Prison. Well, we're probably dead now. That's a bummer. They have 4 energy, so we need to maybe find a way to kill this so they can't gain more energy, but Raptor should make that. Oh, wow, they just burned all their energy. Do consider first. Just kill this thing now. We could wait until they attack or wait until they play Amped Raptor or whatever. But now they have to pay for Static Prison. Another Guide of Souls plus Amped Raptor. It's kind of a bummer. And now our Psychic Frog is too small to do anything because the Flagel will just kill it. Raptor into Raptor is going to gain him some more energy up to 4. And so now the Static Prison has just got it locked forever. Pretty good turn. Chad, what do you think about moving to Pyroclasm? Grixis with Pyroclasm. I don't like Toxic Deluge very much, even though it is useful in this matchup. Harbinger of the Seas can be really, really bad for them, so I'm going to bring it in. I think Force Negation sucks, but Subtlety's great. I think Spell Pierce is horrible. Spell Snare is great. Bowmaster has some good targets. Murktide, fine. Inquisition, their deck is just all powerful 1 and 2 drops. They don't really have any synergy to break up. So I'm okay cutting Inquisitions. And I think we just want like 2 Nile Spell Bombs to stop Flage once it goes to the graveyard. I think this is probably fine. Scolding? Oh yeah, we should be bringing in Scolding too. That's right. Good call. We'll keep. No, you're right. Scolding should be in the deck for sure. That was just an oversight. We have plenty of land, so I think keeping Counterspell is good. We have a nice answer to many of their 2 drops with Bowmaster. Thoughtseize is not a huge deal. They'll probably take Murktide, but they could take anything, just depending on the makeup of their hand. With the Counterspell on top, though, we should be pretty golden. I'll play Island next turn instead of Flooded Strand. I want to save the fetch for Sewers, and I might need to use 2 mana next turn, so I think just playing Island instead is better. If they play nothing, I might play Bowmaster just to get some pressure down. They have Sorin, so I think that there's a small chance that they have Bowmaster themselves. But maybe that's one of the... I mean, that is one of the reasons to splash black, but showing me Sorin kind of throws me for a loop. I'm not really sure what they've cut in their deck for Bowmaster if they have Sorin as well. Guide of Souls. I think I'm just going to counterspell this because it just cuts them off of energy, and this is kind of a weird opener for them. Play Fluttershrine now. I'm going to save the Preordain so that I can fetch a tapped land and hold up a 2-drop. There's also a chance I need to play 2 counterspells, so I think playing Preordain is not the best. I hope they just pass turn. It'd be nice. Alright, well they do have the White Source, Natural. They didn't have this last turn, or they definitely would have played Godless Shrine, Guide of Souls. Okay, so they have Bowmasters themselves. But they know I have Spell Snare. So we'll just get down some pressure. Volgon's Command. That's a bummer. Was not playing around that one. Thought maybe they just had Galvanic Discharge plus Bowmaster. I guess we'll just try to counterspell their next 3 plays. I think I have to let Guide of Souls resolve, though, which is a bummer. But maybe I don't. They don't have any energy. So this Ether Hub is kind of a brick. I can just counter this. This is going to leave the door open for Amped Raptor. But if they don't have Amped Raptor, their play here is rather weak. This is me just kind of playing tempo off of their Ether Hub being bad. I'm not sure that it's the right play, but it's what feels like the right play based on the situation. All right, they have another Guide of Souls. If they have Ramped Raptor 2, this is horrible for me. Well, what's worse than Amped Raptor? Well, it's probably Chthonian Nightmare. They should just cycle this to gain energy, probably, but alright, well, this is sorcery only, right? Pretty sure. Probably should read it before I play my spell into it, though. Alright, they only have 2 cards in hand. They're at 11 life. We have 2 counter spells. I have to assume that they have Bowmaster in their deck, but it's so weird to try to figure out where it's at. Because they have Chthonian Nightmare as well. Kolaghan's Command. This is like a straight Mardu deck. Onslaught Pride. Everything is bad for me. So we're just going to try to counter everything. Ring of Glory. Alright, so now we just hope that they draw a land for 3 turns straight. Murktide off the top will be sicko. That's pretty good too. This should lock him out of the game, and this is why I brought it in. Another reason to fetch Swamp early as well. They can buy Giganta, but they can't cast it. Harbinger of the Seas. Consider. Split. Top Spiridane. I guess. Looking for Frog or Murktide. We'll get Murktide, I guess, just because next turn we can cast it and do some beatdowns. It closes the game by a turn faster. And if they have a Mountain for Giganta here, then we need something to go over the top of it. Man, it feels good to Blood Moon people, huh? Preordain? Guess we'll just keep some junk. Alright, so we do want some Stern Scoldings in. That was just an oversight. Bring those in. And I think I'm going to trim maybe 1 Bowmaster. I like the subtleties on the draw. Maybe I don't even care about Flage that much, but that can't be true. No lander, got a mole. They kept 7. We'll keep this hand, put back a land. So we do have Toxic Deluge, so we're going to try to save our Spell Snare for like a Chthonian Nightmare or something that's extremely scary. Of course, if they make us discard the Deluge, then we have to be a little more specific in our targeting for Spell Snare. Like, I guess the range of things we Spell Snare just increases dramatically. Alright, Thoughtseize on Spell Snare. I'm going to go ahead and fetch Island, and I'm going to play the Preordain I drew. Drew Murktide. I'm going to keep it. Let's punish them a little bit. Next turn, we cannot play the Murktide, but we can consider maybe look for interaction, and then either Deluge or Murktide on 3. Maybe we should have went for Consider instead. because it's just instant speed, but alright, here's Soren of House Markov. So I'm gonna need to get a swamp with this. See what they do now. Our hand is extremely good for next turn. They have a plains now though, so they can keep doing stuff. But if they don't have a second basic, then the amount of spells they can play shrinks dramatically, and they just have so few ways to actually get the Harbinger off the table. It's basically just static prison at that point. So if they Bowmaster here, that's fine. We'll take an extra damage, and then we'll just sweep. We already have to pay extra anyway because of the Soren. Maybe I just play Murktide, though. Bottom the Scolding. So they know about the Deluge. I kind of just want to play Big Murktide. And then next turn we can... I guess we should just Deluge, though. They're just unable to acquire, like, too much pressure next turn. And they don't have to. I think that this is just a fine play. And the next turn we can go, like, push your guy, play Harbinger. Or we can push your guy, play Murktide. And then if they kill the Harbinger, great, we'll Murktide. And if they kill the Murktide, we have Harbinger. Just depends on what they do here, I guess. They kept on top, whatever it was. Another Soren. That's fine. I think I go push this, play my... I'm going to play Harbinger. And this is going to make it so that if they have no energy, so if they just static prison, they have to play some energy generators after that. But obviously, if they have the prison, okay, if it's just Ocelot Pride, hopefully we draw any land so we can play Murktide plus Counterspell backup. But Harbinger here should be quite a nuisance for them. All right, now this enters untapped as well. So we'll play the largest Murktide you ever seen. And I will attack because it's a 1/1 first strike versus a 2/2. And we have counterspell backup, so I don't think we can lose. We have to be extremely careful on what we use our counterspell on because we're so low on resources, but with the Harbinger in play, it's basically just static prison is like the only thing I really care about. I really like Harbinger of the Seas. I think that it's an extremely powerful card. Whether or not it is like good or not in this matchup, it feels great. It single-handedly won 2 games. I guess not single-handedly, but yeah. What's up, AU bartender? You still bartending in Auburn? In a long time, man. Are you doing Pioneer RCQ season? I won one very early and was able to just focus on different decks for the rest of the season. Played Mono Red Slick Shot. And actually, yesterday, old P Sully won his RCQ with the same deck, so I'm pretty happy about that. We're going to bottom 2 lands. That might be a mistake. I might want the 3rd land, but I kind of felt like I would just naturally draw it, and I'm not really sure what I'm playing against, so I'm not really sure what I want. Well, I wish I had held up Spell Pierce, chat. Classic. Alright, they're almost 100% going to crack the Expedition map this turn, so let's just use this turn to go ahead and get Frog down. And then we can maybe ride the counter spells and such for the next few turns. We are in a lot of trouble. We're definitely in a lot of trouble now. I wonder if I should just discard most of my hand, except for counter spell. I'm going to discard Frog, and I might discard Murktide as well. I think... if their 7-drop is Devour of Destiny, which they did not reveal, this could be bad for us. Alright, I don't know what they can play, but I'm going to go ahead and just make another big thing. You know? Just go ahead and make it. If we get hit with all his dust, then, you know? I don't know. I feel like there's way too many things that they could have where if I don't play more pressure here, then we're going to lose. But I don't think... I think I'm less than 5% to win anyway. I think if they could just have one of 8 cards right now to put me in extremely bad position. And if I don't play the Murktide, I think that the game is just going to go long enough where the Frog's not going to be able to get the job done on its own. Maybe they'll just play Damage Sphere or something. Here's Karn the Great Creator. Okay, we can beat this one. Although, I guess if it's Bridge, we can't. We don't have Brazen Bar. Alright, so this game, not holding up Spell Pierce, huge punish on the map. If I knew the matchup, obviously we'll hold up Spell Pierce. The Preordain not keeping the 3rd land, also potentially a mistake. We could have played Murktide with Spell Pierce backup this turn. That would have given us a chance to stop a bridge that comes down here. Because if they play Ensnaring Bridge, I don't think I can win the game anymore. My threats are too big. And we've already discarded another Frog that could potentially get under it. They could also just go for a big thing to play next turn with Karn. And if that's the case, the counterspell might be great. Do we have a kill if they don't get bridge? Let me try to think. So we discard Spell Pierce counterspell. That's 6, 12, and then we move them. That's 14. So if we draw an instant or sorcery, we can kill them. That's pretty cool. I guess if I had countered that, I would have discarded this. Alright, I don't have a way to kill this. Okay, so they have 5 cards in hand. So I can just attack Karn, play another Frog. Maybe we go face. Feels so bad. I think we just gotta kill the Karn, play another Frog. Bridge is tough. We have Consigns after sideboard to help out a lot in this matchup. Harbinger's good in the matchup. Thoughtnut's here. This is nothing. So I thought that they were just hard Tron, but it looks like they're like Eldrazi Tron. And this matchup's not nearly as bad as like green Tron. They'll probably take Frog here would be my guess. I'm hoping they don't have a land or spell to play. I hope their hand's just all big shit. There's Ugin's Labyrinth. They didn't put anything under, but now they can make the Frog worse. Alright, we're going to concede. They're too high life total. The ring plus bridge is not really the best combo, but it's not really something I can handle. Can't beat either, really. We're going to bring a Consign Harbinger and the Fawn. I think we can probably cut Fatal Push, Inquisition, maybe Bowmasters. The spell snares are probably bad. They could have Chalice, though, and Chalice is quite annoying. So Inquisition can go. Bowmasters can go. Oh, one of my... These shouldn't be here. Misclick. Do I want anything over the Fatal Push? Probably Inquisition over Fatal Push. Fatal Push does kill Thoughtnuts here, but it's like the only target, and it's a pretty brutal target, all things considered. Should we have an Ottawa in the main somewhere? Maybe. I think that the 9 fetch lands are good. And I already cut a basic. The Darkslick Shores are excellent as well. It's like hard to argue with them, you know. I will lead with Undercity Sewers because we have Fawn and we also have Frog on 2. I'll keep a consign even though we kind of want another land. Do you think the Psychotog would have been much better than Frog in Modern? Frog is 1,000 times better than Psychotog. I wish they had put Psychotog into Modern a long time ago. It would have been really fun to play with in like Modern Horizons 1 or whatever. But Psychic Frog is significantly better than Psychotog. Significantly better. Like, I would put Psychotog as like an all-timer standard card. And those are cards that often see play in like Modern or whatever. I think Psychic Frog is like an all-timer card. It's like maybe the best 2-drop ever printed. You want to talk for nostalgia? Yeah, we already cracked that box though. I'm in a similar boat. Map. I think I'm gonna force it. And I think I'm just gonna pitch this Consider that I don't care about. We could pitch the Spell Pierce though for sure. Alright, we're gonna play the Frog. What's the Frog doing? I guess we can't get Swamp because we have Counterspell in hand, even though we have what you call it in. I guess once we have the Harbinger down, nothing else really matters that much, so. I heard the song yesterday, I'm gonna skip it. A nice one. Alright, 2 Urza pieces. Let's hope they don't have the 3rd Natural Tron. Alright, well, now if we just draw it, that'd be sick. Land off the top here. And we drew the Swamp. Wow. 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 It's pretty good. I don't think we can lose anymore, chat. I love that it was the basic Swamp. That makes me happy. Oh, they just have Dismember? Bummer. They had to have drawn it, unless they just F6 last turn. Dugan's Lab. Well, Scooter, there were plenty of Legacy tournaments to play, especially even around your area. The Pittsburgh one that I went to was really fun. I don't know. I guess that's not that close for you. Subtlety's fine. I think because I just have the Swamp, I can't play the Consider here, so I'll just say go. We can only play one blue counter, or one cast counterspell here. 4 mana? Thought not Seer. Actual counterspell, I guess. Alright, I'm going to discard the Spell Pierce. Maybe this is wrong. I'm going to discard Consider as well. I want to just crack down on damage and like close the gap faster. And I'm going to hold up all my mana this turn. Now I'll discard Watergrave next turn, but I wanted the 4th land for the Subtlety. But we have Consigned Memory for the ring. Alright, now I'll just play Karn, or I'll play Subtlety on the Karn. And then this plus the Consigned Memory should be game. They put it on bottom, okay. Alright, so we're going to hit them for 7 here. Could hit them for 8. That way the Subtlety is lethal by itself. But I liked both of my cards. I feel like they covered enough bases, but the Drawn in the Lock is not that good in the matchup, so maybe we should just cut this, but I will cast it with Replicate just in case they have something to protect. It's just good to play Replicate when you have the extra mana, because it's like Flusterstorm where it just creates the extra copy. Okay, so the Drown and the Locks are pretty weak here, and I think a couple Fatal Pushes to kill exactly Thought-Knot Seer could be useful. Yeah, it was really fun, and it's really fun on Magic Online. I mean, it's just a really powerful deck, and the grief stuff is obviously the broken part. Opener is, I don't know, kind of weak. Around 6. I'm gonna keep. We have like an answer to a turn 2 Chalice, I guess. We don't have an answer to a turn 1 Chalice or Trinisphere. We're gonna play Flutterstrand as our first land, so we can Fatal Push if they Thought-Knot Seer us on 2. We have Spell Pierce for most other things. Next time we have Counterspell. Forest. Okay. Alright, we'll just fetch a Sewers. I guess this is better than a natural draw. Get the Darkslick Shores down now while we can. We might want to use the Delta to fetch for Swamp if we draw Harbinger. Although, after we have Harbinger in play, I don't think we really need black mana too much. Alright, Ugin's Lab, let's see what they put under it. All's Dust, sure. So this is 4 mana for a Karn if they have it. We can just Spell Pierce and consider. If it's Thought-Knot Seer, I guess we should have played Fetch in case it was Thought-Knot Seer. Maybe that was a mistake, probably. This might be Veil Summer. I think we just have to do this and hope it's not Veil. And if they take Push, that sucks. But we should have just had Fatal Push at the ready for that, so that's just a punt. I'm going to play a fetch land now, and if they go for another Thought-Knot Seer, I'll just push it with the trigger on the stack. Six mana Eldrazi. Yuck. This one's bad for us. Consider Subtlety. I think I graveyard this. I'm not going to be able to hard cast it next turn. Frog's pretty good. I think I'll probably just go ahead and Fatal Push this, and the next turn I'll go Frog plus Spell Pierce backup, but I don't think that we are going to win this game. Kicked Sowing Micah Spawn here is pretty brutal. With only 2 cards in hand, though, anything's possible. What's up, Kevin? Hope you're doing well. They got another Eldrazi Temple. Okay, so Frog here is probably Death. It's weird that they got another Eldrazi Temple. 2, 4, 6, 7, 8. Consign on top. This is golden. So if I get out of this turn alive, I think I'll be fine. Because I have that to stop a Ulamog trigger and a Devour of Destiny trigger. And they haven't revealed Devour of Destiny this turn, or this game. 4 mana. Just another Thought-Knot. Alright, we're going to go for a Counterspell on it. Save our Frog / maybe next turn we'll have a good turn. Alright, well, there's nothing we can do about that. Frog's gone now. We're going to have to hopefully get lucky. We don't have another Surveil land either. And their top card is a Counterspell. It's a lot of creatures against my Spell Pierces. But I think this game would have been much different if we just played a fetch land on 2 to push this one instead of counterspell it. I guess it wouldn't have been that much different. And we got plenty of time. Frog's real heckin' magic? Yeah, Frog's nice. 3 mana. 4 mana. Karn. 1, 2, 3. So let's double pierce this. So we can just use our mana, or use our cards. Alright, so now we just have Consign for their next big play, and we just need to draw a threat. I'm going to fetch Watergrave, because we might need all the blue mana we can get at some point. Okay, here you go. Need to draw Murktide Regent. Losing that frog the turn I did was a bummer. If I had played that frog, I would have... I mean, I assume I would have lost the Karn the Great Crater or something similar. So they are playing something that is huge. Devour. We just got to counter it, I think. Verdane, great draw. Top 2. Okay, redraw. Whoop. Oh yeah, big baddie. Alright, now we just need to draw a frog or another Murktide, so we put them on a 2-turn clock, and then just hope that they draw mana. Mana only. Only manas. Draw a Chalice of the Void now. If they attack with a Thought Knot, I think I have to assume it's Dismember and not block. But maybe that's... I don't know. Oh, right. They have all his dust on under the Ugin's Labyrinth, so... Doesn't matter. They had it all rolled up. Now we got to draw another Murktide. I forgot about this. Alright, we're going to go to 5. We got a lot of good draws left. Well, Luigi, they had no cards in hand. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. What do they say? Do as I say, not as I do. Many of us know the right things to do, but we don't have the ability to do it ourselves all the time. Self-awareness, lack of. I'm sorry, Lucy, you're right. I'm trying to think if they can find a bluff with a Thought Knot attack, and I don't think they have a bluff. Maybe if they have... I don't know. They drew something nice. The One Ring, everybody boos. Man, this is like my least favorite card in Magic, I think. It just turns really close and fun, good games into non-games. At 20 life, I can't imagine I can win. Alright, Tournament Preordained. We're just looking for lands, basically. Lands and threats. Something like a frog would be okay. Hey, land and frog. Perfect. Marsh Flats. Let's go Inky. Mostly curious. If it's the mirror match, I need to know if it's Mardu. They would have a ho. Interesting. Well, this is terrifying, chat. So if we take Faithful Mending, they'll be able to put the tracks in there at some point anyway. The Philology can dig for Gorios, but so does Faithful Mending. And the Pending can hit my Frog. I think I'm just dead, chat. Is that weird? I think I'm just going to lose this game. I don't think the Inquisition breaks it up very much. Fatal Push on Floggy's nothing. Fatal Push on Grief Scam might be something. Just take the Archaeologist. I felt like Archaeologist is one of the better cards in the deck. Being a early way to fill the graveyard and dig and be something for Ephemerate's nice, but maybe because they have Grief, they don't care about it as an Ephemerate target, and maybe because they have Faithful Mending, they don't care about it for filling the graveyard. So maybe Floggy's like the worst of all the picks, but I think Faithful Mending, taking Faithful Mending just feels horrible. They keep it on top, so whatever it is, we're probably dead. If they okay, so here's Grief. They pitched Grief. So I mean, this is fine because that means they don't have Scam. I'm gonna not play Consider because I think they should not take it. You take Drown in the Lock. Okay, so now we use Consider to dig for Spell Snare, something else, but they're gonna probably main phase this Faithful Mending. I could technically consider, and if I find Force Negation, I can Force Negation the Faithful Mending. This might be worth. Top card's Counterspell. Counterspell's pretty good. I mean, otherwise I'm just doing not a lot. They know of the Bowmaster, so that's another reason why they're main phasing. But now we just have to worry about Goryo's forever. They put an Ulamog in the grave as well. Inquisition. Because I have the Counterspell, I'm going to keep it on top. There's a good chance that I get to take something. And I don't have to bite on anything this turn. And we know they have Prismatic Ending, so it's like 100% a hit. If they do some tapping out, we can Bowmaster. I am super afraid of Goryo's, so I think I'm not going to do anything here. And now after I draw Inquisition, I can force the Goryo's if they have it. And then my Counterspell is live. 3 cards in hand. Alright, so we'll go Counterspell on this. Now this is guaranteed to hit a pending. Okay, Grief's their other card, that's fine. And now we're in a spot where if they draw one of their 3 Goryos, we're fucked. But otherwise, I feel fairly good about our position. And they discarded another Grief to Grief me again. They're going to take Frog almost 100%. But maybe they take Bowmaster. I'm going to main phase this in case they just draw something that says draw a card on it. I'd rather punish. Plus, we can get this down now before they have a chance to flashback Mending. If they draw 3rd land, I guess it's unlikely that they Mending in response, but... Alright, because my hand is just garbage, I'm going to go ahead and main phase Bowmaster, just to deal an extra damage with the growing of the army. Yeah, you're probably right, Bartender. I do think counterspells like Spell Snare are excellent right now. We'll go and play flats. We're not really interested in holding lands when they can fetch Chevelle. Yeah, exactly, Lou. That's why I continued. I'm sorry. Alright, so now if they Faithful Minting, they'll gain 2. So they're not even going to do it. They probably should just to dig. Put Fluttershy in the grave. Alright, they have this turn and one more turn. March flats. Alright, so now we just want to find any counterspell. Anything that can stop a Goryo's in its tracks. Any counterspell. What about Swamp? We heard you liked land, so... Okay, so now if they Faithful Minting, they'll go to 2, fetch puts them to 1. Fatal Push doesn't do much. Oh, this just puts them to 2. That's right. Forgot they gain life. And we have 2 Bowmasters. They discarded Philology and Force of Negation. Alright, they're going to go to 2. We're just hoping to dodge Goryo's. Goryo's on Atraxa. Chat, while my opponent's taking forever, I'll take this time to say thank you to our sponsors for today's stream. Moxfield.com is a great website for building and sharing decks with your friends. Check out Moxfield.com. Build some decks today. If you'd like to see the decks that we play on stream, you can check them out on the link description if you're watching this on YouTube. You can also exclamation point deck or deck list in chat, and it'll take you to the Moxfield page for the Tandy stream. We're also sponsored by Apex Gaming. Apex Gaming is a game store out of Caldwell, Ohio. They have a tournament series that Ross Mayer and myself do commentary for. We'll be heading back up there mid-August. In mid-August, they're going to have a Team Trios Modern Open where you can all 3 play the same deck. And I believe that's August 14th or 16th weekend. Let me check the calendar. Yeah, it'll be the weekend of the 16th. Okay, so they found Atraxa. This is bad. We don't have anything. Our Fatal Pushes don't even keep them from gaining life. They found an Ephemerate, so I'm just going to concede, I think. Once they find the Ephemerate, they gain the life. It doesn't really matter. These Fatal Pushes are dead. I'm going to cut all 4 of the Fatal Pushes. Spell Pierce, Spell Snare, both excellent. Counterspell, great. Bowmaster there almost stole the game. We want Fawn. I kind of want Harbinger of the Seas. Their deck doesn't function off of just blue mana very well. I don't think Stern Scolding is good. Consign can stop the Atraxa trigger, but we want Spell Bombs for sure. Subtlety has very few hits, so we'll cut them. I think I'll bring in the Harbingers just to try to cheese them. They fetch a lot of dual lands. Anyway, ApexGaming.gg chat. More information about their tournament series. But August 16th weekend, Team Trios, bring some buddies. It'll be a good time. I promise. Lastly, we're sponsored by Paradise Games and Gifts. Paradise Games and Gifts is a game store out of Fairfax, Virginia. They specialize in trading card games, and you can buy directly from their website. Check out gcparodice.com to get their website. They recently went through a name change. The website will be updated in the next few months, hopefully. We're going to keep this hand. I'm probably just going to play Frog on 2. There's a good chance we get hit with discard, but they go for fetch Surveil on 1 a bunch. I guess we should have fetch landed. That way we could go get Surveil lands, but just play Frog. What a Frog doing? Might want to Stern Scolding for the Grief Ephemerate Frog Philology. Maybe. That's actually a good point. Not something I thought about too much. The subtleties are also fine in that matchup. And I guess you have to assume that they have Frog or the... oh, what's it called? I don't know. Let's see what we're going to get done to us this turn. If it's just Philology, I'll be pretty ecstatic. Hidden Indulgence. Draw 2, discard 1. They put Atraxa into the graveyard. So now, though, we have a Counterspell Wall. I discard. I kind of want to discard this Consider as well. Maybe that's sick. Maybe I'm sick in the head, but I want to push damage with Frog in the matchups like this. And now we'll say go. And if they go for a Grief Scam, if they pitch Grief, I'll probably just counterspell it. And then if they go for a Reanimate, we have the Spell Snare. And we have 2 Spell Snares, so I think that's fine. Maybe we should have played the Frog, though. This is what you do to stop the Grief Scammy stuff. Now, they can have Goryo's plus something else. This is bad. There's nothing we could have done, though. They were either griefing us or Teferring us, one or the other. Land here lets me double Frog. We're going to bench the Preordained because I really just want to get 2 ways down that can kill Teferi. Since the Spell Snares are turned off. This card would be nice, but... Okay. Could have played one more and left a land in the graveyard. It's probably better. Now, if they go for Atraxa Goryo's, we can't really do anything about it. But we have done what we can. Teferi Time Raveler is a very powerful card. Scolding on the Grief. It's tough, man. Oh no. Second Teferi, bummer. But we're not dead, so I guess it's not that big of a bummer. Maybe we need some Mystical Disputes in the sideboard, but I don't know. Alright, let's play a couple Froggies. Next turn, we'll try to kill the Teferi. If they go for Goryo's on Atraxa, I don't think we can win. But I'll fight it out. I'll make them finish the game this time. They benched the Philagi. Philagi digs 3 deeper. Maybe they already have a Philagi, and that's why. Fairy ticks up. You find a Tainted Indulgence. Okay. Wow, now Spellbomb's an insane draw, chat. Alright, I think I'm going to discard the Murktide. I'm going to send both at the Teferi. I can't afford to like discard a bunch of cards and give it flying. So we'll just discard the Murktide here to try to kill the Teferi. Prismatic Ending on the Frog. Can't do anything about it. I kind of want to discard 2 to kill the Philagi, but they could just have Ephemerate. And if they have Ephemerate, that's horrible for me. So we'll just play Nihil Spellbomb and see what they have. And then next turn, we'll just discard 1, give it flying, attack Teferi. Something like that. Yeah. Okay, so they did have the Ephemerate. It's tough. Top 3, they find the Goryo's. So while they're tapped out, I think I just go ahead and eat the graveyard. Because the Goryo's being instant speed is pretty bad for me. If they just have 2 Goryo's at some point, they can respond to the Nihil Spellbomb by casting another Goryo's. But I don't think that we're going to win this game. But anything's possible. So they found another Atraxa, and we know they have Goryo's in hand, so we'll just concede. GG. So 2 and 3, we'll talk about what we liked and didn't like about this version. So the mirror match, we lost to the opposing Psychic Frog. We perhaps played a little bit too timidly against their early Tamio by using our Drown and Lock on it, and then we just lost a Frog. Another game, they had Dothy Voidwalker and a Frog, and we killed Voidwalker and then lost a Frog. And I think what happened there was that they just overloaded us with powerful 2-drops, and we don't have the ability to do that in the mirror. The Orcish Bowmasters have looked completely embarrassing in most situations. Everyone is kind of situated to play around it by just not having 1 toughness creatures. While Orcish Bowmaster is particularly strong against cards like the One Ring, I think that if your opponent resolves the One Ring, you're just dead most of the time anyway, even through the Bowmaster, because they get to start by drawing a card for free, and then on the next turn they can draw 2, and oh, you deal them 2 damage. Great. Then what? Then they play another ring, start it all over. Then they kill your Bowmaster and keep going. It's tough. I haven't seen Bowmaster. Like, Bowmaster obviously helps keep the One Ring in check to a degree, but not like in a real way. And most of the decks that are playing the ring are also just like playing giant haymakers like crazy. And Bowmaster just sucks against that type of game plan. So my next outing with this deck in particular, I think, will likely cut the Bowmasters in favor of Tamio. And I do like the idea of some Dothy Voidwalkers in the sideboard, but it's kind of hard to play Voidwalker with so many basic islands. It's the same reason why we're not playing Break the Ice and we're playing Harbinger of the Seas instead. Harbinger of the Seas, by the way, really, really nice. Really liked it. Kind of want the 4th Murktide Regent. I just feel like I didn't draw it enough. If I do play 4 Murktide Regent, I'll probably also play 4 Consider. If we cut the 4 Bowmaster, it'll probably be like 3 Tamio, a Consider, and then we can cut maybe the Inquisitions, and we can just play another Murktide Regent. Maybe another Subtlety. Since we're cutting Bowmasters, we will need to increase the threat density slightly, so I think all that makes some sense. Spell Snare was awesome. Fatal Push was solid as usual. Mana Base felt fine. The Swamp was rather awkward sometimes, so maybe in matchups where we expect to bring in Harbinger, we just cut most of our black cards, or just don't care if our black cards get locked. And so we just cut the Swamp. Swamp was awkward in like one hand, so maybe we just leave it. It was okay. Decided Memory, great as usual. Stern Scolding, I don't think I cast it, but I also should have brought it in one matchup and didn't. And I think that it's one of those cards that, you know, like any counterspell, if you draw it after your opponent has already played the thing, it feels horrible. But maybe we just want more cheap spot removal that can kill Frog. You know? My gut's telling me that the card Pyroclasm is really good right now. So perhaps instead of Dimir Murktide, we try out Is It Murktide with like maybe a more controlling game plan. I think Grixis Murktide might also be fine. We could play stuff like Kolaghan's Command to give us some outs to artifacts. I wouldn't hate like a Brazen Borrower in the deck. The extra subtlety and force negation in the board are probably unnecessary. Maybe the 3rd subtlety should just be in the main. Toxic Deluge was excellent the one game I drew it. Now Spellbomb, solid as usual. That's about it. This has been Dimir Frogtide. We didn't have a great showing today, but we are still in the experimental phases. I'm hoping that Nadu gets banned at some point, so we'll have a better idea of how to attack the format. Right now, I feel like we're just playing in a Banana Republic or whatever, right? Just like it's King Nadu, but Nadu is on the chopping block. It's going to do it for me today. Thanks for hanging, everyone. I'm Tandy. Make sure to check out the Patreon if you're interested in written sideboard guides as well as updated brews I'm working on. I also offer coaching. You can contact me through my Patreon if you'd like to become a student of mine, and we can discuss rates, scheduling, things like that. I only have space for, I think, 2 more students. I have 2 right now, so that's going to do it. Thanks for hanging. Y'all have one for the rest of your day. We'll see you next time.